Do any of you all remember this guy from the other day?
As we know it right now, Austin Metcalf and Karmelo Anthony did not know each other. They did not know each other. Let's stop it. They were not at a party together.
So as you guys know, I've been covering the Austin Metcalf case, and I am doing my best to approach this case just like any other case, despite all of the lies and misinformation that people are purposely putting out there. But for those of you all who might not know, when I cover a story like this one, I try to focus on the people directly involved, and I try not to stray too far off of that path. For those of you all who are used to watching true crime content, you know that some people take it to the extreme. They start doing research and investigating people that have nothing to do with the situation. It's like we all came to learn about the killer. Before you know it, people are leaking the work address of his aunt. People are revealing information about the victim's family and second cousin twice removed. And before you know it, a lot of times these cases turn into a complete circus, with people just exposing all type of information and all types of stuff that doesn't matter and has nothing to do with the case at all. So I try not to do that. Even though, yeah, there's sometimes people on the outside, that are causing a ruckus or causing a stir. I try to keep my focus on the people who are directly involved in the case. And the Austin Metcalf case is no different. However, the man that you saw in the clip at the beginning of this video, Dominique Alexander, he has inserted himself in this case. He has took it upon himself to do press conferences, basically trying to establish himself as an authority on this case, as someone who knows better than others, as someone who feels like they can tell others how to react and how to view the case. So he has directly inserted himself into this entire situation. And he's done it kind of trying to pretend like he's somewhat of a neutral party, when in reality he is fully against Austin Metcalf and his family. And that's the reason why he's here in the first place. But like I said, I try to keep my focus on the people who are directly involved in the case. But I cannot stop the internet from doing what the internet is going to do. And the internet has now exposed this man as a fraud and as a complete horrible person who allegedly puts his hands on women, hits little kids, all types of things. And I say allegedly loosely because we're going to see later on in this video that Dominique Alexander has already basically confirmed that all of this stuff is true. But before we even dive into more information about Dominique Alexander, I think what I want to do is I want to roll an old news clip that mentions some of the crimes that he's already committed, just so you guys don't think that this is just coming from me or random people. No, this guy's been in the news multiple times before. Now, before I roll that news clip, people often ask, how can they support the channel? And the answer to that question is very simple. You can support the channel for totally free by liking the video, dropping a comment below, becoming part of the conversation, and sharing this video on social media. It's all quick, free, and easy. But if you want to take your support one step further, you could always send a super thanks or a cash app. It's always greatly appreciated. Now, with that being said, let's go ahead and roll this old news clip of Dominique Alexander, and let's try to figure out what type of guy this man really is.
Dallas County grand jury has indicted a civil rights activist. Dominique Alexander, the founder of the Next Generation Action Network, was indicted today on a charge of continuous violence against the family. That's a third-degree felony. He was arrested back in April after his girlfriend, Kiera Saunders, told police Alexander assaulted her. However, in an affidavit filed before today's indictment, Saunders says she doesn't want any part of the prosecution and won't testify.
Now, I bet a lot of you are probably wondering, why would Karmelo Anthony's family hire this guy of all guys? Or why would they get this man out of everyone in the world to represent them or to be a spokesman for them? Why would they get this freaking scumbag to represent their son and their family? Well, the answer to that question is very simple, ladies and gentlemen. You see, people like me and people like you, we may not be that aware of Dominique Alexander. For one, we don't live in the area where he lives, but we also do not subscribe to a victim culture. You know, we're not out here at all of the BLM rallies and stuff like that, but the people who are, they are well aware of who Dominique Alexander is. Karmelo Anthony's family, they are not unaware of who Dominique Alexander is. They got this guy for a reason. Because Karmelo Anthony's family knows damn good and well that they do not have a leg to stand on. They know their son is guilty. Their son has already admitted he's guilty. And the self-defense, it doesn't look like it's going to hold up. Now, we don't know what the jury will decide. We don't know what will happen in court. But if there was a fair, just trial and race wasn't playing an issue here, there would be no self-defense. That's out of the question. And I'll explain why in a different video. But they hired this man because they know they have no other route. So what their plan is to cause unrest, to cause a stir, to cause drama, to intimidate the jury, and to just wreak havoc. And they hope that by acting like a toddler throwing a temper tantrum, they hope that they're going to be able to rile the public up into acting unruly, and then their son will get off of his murder charge. That's why they brought in someone like Dominique Alexander, not to speak for them because he's so well with words. We saw the press conference. This guy sucks. He can put on a collared shirt and some glasses to try to give the appearance that he's a well-educated man, but in reality, this dude's a scumbag that puts his hands on women and kids. Okay? So they purposely went out here and got this guy because they know they have no chance of really winning this case if this case was just a normal case. So they want to cause drama and chaos surrounding the case, hoping that will work. And this Dominique Alexander guy already has a history of intimidating witnesses and all types of things. In fact, let me go ahead and dive into some of the information that has been exposed. Karmelo Anthony's newly hired attorney, Kim T. Cole, is general counsel to the Next Generation Action Network Foundation. NGAN is a BLM supporting 501c that, based on a full investigation, has brought in six figures, yet has filed a total of only 2 IRS reports since its inception in 2014. According to federal law, 501cs are required to file annual returns of their income and expenses with the Internal Revenue Service. Records also show that the organization received a grant from another entity called Good Work Dallas with the same registered address, which can indicate alleged money laundering. So this whole entire organization is corrupt. But in case you missed that first part, Karmelo Anthony's family, they had a lawyer, they had an attorney. It was a white guy. Okay? He already spoke out about the case. But Karmelo Anthony's family got rid of that lawyer because he's white. And they realized, hey, we want to play the race card. It's our only way out. The only way out is if we act like a bunch of unruly children, we pull the race card, we burn half the city down, and we intimidate the witnesses, and we intimidate the jurors. This is the only way we could try to get our son out of jail, right? That's what they're thinking. So they fired their white attorney, and now they've hired Kim T. Cole, which is a black attorney who has ties to BLM, friends with Jasmine Crockett, the whole 9 yards. So they know exactly what they're doing here, and they're doing it purposely. And this is why I told you all from the get-go that Karmelo Anthony's family, regardless of what anyone else says, they're going to make it about race. They're going to play victim. And if you look at the moves that are being made, they are trying to turn this into the next, like, George Floyd riot all summer type of situation. I'm hoping that doesn't happen, because you got to be a complete idiot to go out here and riot and protest for a murderer like Karmelo Anthony. But we know that these people love to support murderers. It's just what they do. And Kim T. Cole is a bad actor. She has been for years. And now her and Dominique Alexander, they've wiggled their way into this situation. And they're only here to spread hate and to cause chaos. But let's go further. They have also repeatedly opened new 501c organizations under slightly different names, and when their status is revoked for lack of financial filing, or when pressure is placed on them to file, they start a new entity. This leaves room for money to disappear. This involves multiple federal EINs, state recognition, and missing entities in between the years that each 501c has begun. The fraudulent foundation is run and was founded by Dominique Alexander, Karmelo Anthony's family advocate, and a known felon with a history of fraud, forgery, corruption, woman battery, and a conviction for hurting kids. Dominique also has a history of provoking violent protesting, arriving at people's private homes to protest, and intimidating jurors. I want to stop right there. You see, that part is one of the main reasons why Karmelo Anthony's family went out and got Dominique Alexander. Because they know his history. He literally pops up at witnesses' houses, or jurors' houses, or at people's houses who are involved in cases to intimidate them. He starts protests and riots outside of people's houses. I've heard stuff about him and his friends chasing people through the streets, all types of stuff. So Karmelo Anthony's family got this man not with the hopes that he will bring about peace and he could, talk about the lies that are being spread and he can smooth things over. No, they got this man to represent him or represent them so he can cause a stir on their behalf. It's coming. I can tell you right now, they're just trying to get the funds together. They're trying to organize, but they're getting ready to pull a bunch of wild stuff behind this case. Just wait until the trial starts. We're still in the early periods of this case, ladies and gentlemen, and it's already shown how divisive this case can be. And we already know now that we have professional bad actors who are directly tied to this case because Karmelo Anthony's family, they want chaos. You don't go get Dominique Alexander if you don't want to cause problems. But let's go further. Dominique was also responsible for the protest in Dallas that ended with Micah Johnson's gunfire and 5 officers dead. Karmelo Anthony's newly hired attorney, Kim T. Cole, is also Dominique's attorney. In a recent press conference, Dominique Alexander spoke as Karmelo's advocate, stating that the bond was too high and defended the argument of self-defense. He said that Karmelo's family was dealing with racism and bigotry, but we all know that's a lie. We know who's really dealing with the racism and bigotry. It's Austin Metcalf's family, but they're not saying anything. They're not going out here and hiring a spokesman. No, they're burying their son this weekend. So as Austin Metcalf's family is remaining silent and burying their son, Karmelo Anthony's family, they're hiring activists to go out here and cause trouble. And they're planning on causing massive riots and protests across the entire country. That's what they're planning to do, as Austin Metcalf's family was planning for Austin's funeral. So it lets you know the mentality of both families here, right? And I don't know about you, but it makes me feel disgusted with Karmelo Anthony's family because they know exactly what they're doing. And they're hanging in the back. They're allowing this man to speak for him, but understand that they are directly responsible for anything that happens. Any riots, any protests, you can blame Karmelo Anthony's family. But let's go a little bit forward. When asked about the knife carried by Karmelo, he justified Karmelo's right to hold the knife by comparing his case to Zimmerman and Kyle Rittenhouse. He then told a blatant falsehood and said that Austin Metcalf's brother said in a media interview that Karmelo Anthony told Austin Metcalf, "Don't put your hands on me." Not only were those words never stated, but the arrest report relays that the exact words were, "Put your hands on me and see what happens." This lie served to aggravate protesters, create a narrative to cause more divisiveness and provoke more inflammatory racist behavior. And you see the differences in what was said, it means a lot, especially when it comes down to self-defense. Don't put your hands on me, and put your hands on me and see what happens. It is a huge difference, ladies and gentlemen. And those words, the technicality behind those words may be brought up in court. I would think that they would be for sure. So this is where we're at. You know, you would think that Karmelo Anthony's family tried to go out there and find an outstanding citizen that was a voice for victims to represent them. But no, they found a victimizer, a known pot stirrer, a known race baiter, someone who has sparked protests and riots that have resulted in kids getting shot, police officers getting killed. Oh yeah, buddy, they're trying to start some real problems. But if you think that all of these accusations are fake and it's hogwash, you can go do the research. We got the guy's mugshots. We got the old news clips. We got all of the information. And when I say we, the internet collected this stuff, okay? But Dominique Alexander has spoken out about this information that's been revealed. He's trying to kind of deny some of the stuff that we know for a fact is true, but at the same time, he's also in a position where he's forced to acknowledge that, yeah, he does have a past of doing the things that he's been accused of. Let's go ahead and look into what Dominique Alexander had to say about all of this. Here he says, I normally don't respond to propaganda or hateful narratives, but let me make a few things clear. See, we got to go ahead and pause right there. He says he doesn't respond to propaganda, but he is a known and well-documented propagandist. He's the one that spreads propaganda. No one is spreading propaganda about Dominique Alexander. People actually exposed his criminal record. People exposed the past riots and protests that he has sparked. It's not propaganda to acknowledge this guy's past and what he's done, before now. That's not propaganda. What's propaganda is the entire little press conference that he held the other day. That was propaganda, where he tried to act and pretend as if Karmelo Anthony's family, they're just the victims of all of this hate, while simultaneously ignoring the hate that Austin Metcalf's family was getting. He basically took what Austin Metcalf's family is actually going through, and he tried to spin it into, oh, this is what Karmelo Anthony's family is going through. No, they're not. Are there people online saying mean, hateful things about Karmelo Anthony? Yes. You want to know why? Because he's a murderer that stabbed an innocent kid in the chest. That's why. People are talking bad or talking down about Karmelo because he's a murderer. Okay? That's the excuse. Oh, you killed someone for no reason. That's why we're saying negative things about Karmelo. People who are saying negative things about Austin are just hateful, racist people who are celebrating the death of a child. Okay, there's a big difference there. A difference that shouldn't have to be explained with, between people who have common sense. But I understand that common sense isn't common. Let's go ahead and dive into the rest of what he had to say. If anyone wants to know the truth about the Next Generation Action Network, just ask. We are a human rights organization based in North Texas, founded in 2014. For over a decade, we've been on the front lines fighting for justice, advocating for victims, challenging systems of oppression, and building bridges across communities. Look, anyone with common sense, like I said, common sense isn't so common, you could read what this guy's saying and you know it's hogwash. You've been on the front line of fighting for justice and advocating for victims. You mean you've been on the front line at these violent protests where cops were killed and little kids were shot and stores were looted and businesses were burnt to the ground. Yeah, you were on the front lines of all of that. You weren't on the front lines doing anything positive or constructive for your community. Actually, you were on the front lines as your community was destroyed by your own people. That's the reality. So understand the way they word things, it means nothing because we know what their activism really is. Their view of activism is looting a Target and going and stealing all of the PlayStation 5s out of Best Buy. That's what they call activism. But let's go forward. We are not a Black Lives Matter organization. That's a separate nonprofit based in California. Our work is our own. We stand unapologetically for the rights of all people, especially those whose lives and dignity are constantly under threat. No one has accused them of being a Black Lives Matter organization. People have accused them of being tied to BLM, which is the truth, and there's no dodging that or getting around that. Why he's sitting here pretending like he's not tied to BLM is kind of weird to me, considering the fact that everyone has the internet and we could research these things. But people like Dominique Alexander, they don't understand that, most people around him are smarter than him, and they're capable of figuring out the lies you're telling and all of the fraud that is being done at your organization and stuff like that. This guy is messing up by trying to take on the internet, because the internet is always going to outsmart you. And it's not hard to outsmart someone like Dominique Alexander, regardless of how many glasses he puts on and off during his freaking press conferences. But let's go forward. Yes, I have a past. I am formerly incarcerated, but what's more important is my present and the legacy of impact we've built. I've dedicated my life to fighting for victims of police brutality, fixing broken education systems, creating a statewide and federal missing alert system, and defending the rights of the voiceless. From education reform to civil rights litigation, our work has changed lives. Yeah, I have a past of beating up kids and beating up women, but hey, I'm a voice for the voiceless. I'm a voice for the victims. No, you were just such a scumbag that you realized that you had to do anything you could to try to mask what a bad person you were. And it turns out that all of your advocacy is just a bunch of BS that winds up, that ends up in people getting hurt, killed, and what have you. It's disturbing but not surprising that when Black leadership dares to rise, people try to discredit it. That's the playbook. Discredit the person to distract from the movement, and yet NGAN has become a refuge for people of all races, backgrounds, and struggles, because truth always outlasts lies. I will lose no sleep over cowardly smear campaigns, but I always will speak up when attacks are meant to tear down our communities. To the ones sitting in jail today, we're standing with you, because everyone deserves their day in court. So yes, keep talking about me. I'll keep standing for what's right. God bless you, and may the Lord be with you. So this is what people like Dominique Alexander always try to do. And it works on communities who follow up with people like Dominique Alexander. You see, someone like Dominique, they will take a personal attack, right? And I wouldn't call this attack an attack at all. But for example, like you're exposing information about Dominique Alexander. He'll take that and try to spin it into, oh, you're just saying negative things about Black people. So here we have a personal attack on Dominique Alexander that he's automatically trying to flip on, oh, it's because of Black, and how dare you attack the Black community? How dare you attack Black leadership? How dare you say things about Black people? No one's doing that. We're talking about you, Dominique Alexander. The accusations that are coming forward aren't about every Black person in America. No, it's about you, Dominique Alexander. But that's what people like Dominique try to do. They try to spin it and get their entire community upset. Let's get an entire race of people upset because I got exposed for hitting women and children. That's what Dominique Alexander's trying to do here. And it works on low IQ people who are going to get stirred up, and they'll view, oh, how dare you say something negative about Dominique Alexander? How dare you acknowledge that he puts his hands on women and kids? What, are you racist? What, do you hate all Black people because you got something negative to say about Dominique Alexander? But that's how these things work. They take a personal slight, a personal attack, or are just being exposed personally, and they try to turn it into something that's about an entire race or an entire community of people to try to rile people up, to try to make it look like, hey, if someone exposes me for who I am, it's really an attack on the entire Black community. So acknowledging that Dominique Alexander is a complete piece of human trash, that's not against Dominique. No, that's against everyone that looks like Dominique, right? So even in like that post right there, you could tell the type of person he is. You could see the tactics that he uses to stir up Black people, and it doesn't work on people like me. And it's not going to work on all Black people either, but it will work on a lot of them. Because that's the mentality that has been spread, unfortunately. That if you just hold someone accountable, if you hold Dominique accountable for the things he's done in the past, oh, it must be, because you have a problem with every black person on earth. Now, people can change. People can make mistakes and come back from it. But if you're someone who's been putting your hands on women and children, and you have a history of just causing problems, and you're causing riots and protests where people are dying and stuff like that, someone like that should not be allowed to be attached to a case like what we're watching right now. Let alone a family involved in this case should not be going and hiring someone like that, or even getting someone like that for free to represent them and talk for them, because they know the problems that are going to come out of this. But that's what they want. They want problems because they feel like that's their only way out of this situation, because they know their son's guilty. But for now, you guys let me know what you think about all of this down in the comments below. While you're down there, hit that thumbs up, hit that subscribe, ring that notification bell, and I'll talk to you all very soon in the next one.